I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For all. That's the operative word. Hey, welcome to Military Illumination. We're a podcast that will help you decide if the military option is right for you or someone you care about. I'm your host, Gary. I'm a veteran. I've been impacted by the military, and I share the fruits of my journey and heartache to help you navigate the traps and dangers of the military service. We provide information about military recruitment traps, benefits, and lifestyles. We'll also illuminate the truth behind the military benefits and issues surrounding the military lifestyles. We'll turn on the lights to show you the dark secrets of the United States Armed Forces through experiences, historical data, stories, and the military's own admissions. You will be in a power position because you will know what the military knows. Therefore, you'll be able to make an informed decision about enlisting in the military or recommending it to someone else, especially if you're between the ages of 18 and 24 years old. The flip side is learning about this information while you're in the military and going through a negative situation, but by that time, it's too late. I'm the only voice out there sharing information such as this, illuminating the truth. A lot of veterans are speaking out. I'm just one voice to illuminate and overview basic stuff that will help you out. So, let's turn on the lights. Today we're going to be talking about the military judicial system, also known as JAG, the Judge Advocate General. It's the military's exclusive organization for distributing justice. I say it that way because it really can be tongue-in-cheek how the military does that, and it's very important for you to know. So before I get into it, I want to share one more time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, there's liberty. In the military, a person serving doesn't get that. They work and serve at the whims of our government and their service that they enlisted into. Then there's justice. The justice that you may think about if you're a civilian isn't quite the same as the justice that the military sees it. In the Pledge of Allegiance, when we talk about for all, it really doesn't impact military service members. When you enlist in the military, you give up that right. You are not counted in the for all. But before I get to the meat of the matter here, the main event here with the military and justice system, it's important to review. If you've been listening to my podcast, you know the things I've been talking about and how it impacts it. Things like the Fairness Doctrine, congressional leaders, the civilian courts, JAG, Tort Claims Act, and autonomy. It's really important for you to understand how this fits. United States citizens versus military service. If you can get this in your brain, if you can think about it, it's different. What you know as civilian is completely 180 difference in the military. What you know as a civilian in the world as American citizens, it doesn't apply if you're in service. That's something you really got to understand. The military tries to get you to not see that by calling it a career, but it really comes down to understanding the fact that as a United States citizen, you have the rights, you have the liberty, you have the justice. As a military service member, you give up that. When we talk about the military service system, I want you to kind of think about it like, let me back up here. Let me back up here real fast here. Do a Venn diagram. If you got a pencil paper there, if you know what a Venn diagram is, draw a Venn diagram. On one side, put down civilian. On the other side, write down the military, and in the middle is the common. Okay? So I was giving some time. Actually, how about we lose power on my computer? So, the Venn diagram. On the civilian, there's going to be legal, there's going to be lawsuits, right? That if someone harms you, whether it's a job, whether it's another person, you can sue them. You can sue the company for damages, the medical, the dental, the retirement, okay? All those things, as you're a civilian, as you're thinking about that, forget about it if you go to the military. On the right side, opposite, you can put those same things down: legal, medical, dental, retirement, but it's not at the same level as you would get in the civilian private sector. Remember, as a civilian, or a person who's not in the military, you are guarded, you're protected by laws, you're protected by the Constitution, you're protected by a system, and you're protected by people, lawyers, who's looking after your best interest because that's their livelihood. In the military, it's just the opposite. Your attorneys, the JAG officers, they're really not. They are there for the military, and that's what I want you to understand. The only thing you can really guarantee is everybody gets paid in U.S. currency. Anything else is opposite. To understand the military and JAG, you have to understand the differences. That you're not going to get what you think you have as a civilian. The only thing that's common between the military and civilian is you get paid in U.S. currency. Now, let's look at JAG a little bit closer. We're not going to, like I said before, I'm not going to be like saying the good things and bad things about JAG because it's here or there. What I'm talking about here is the foundational stuff, where everything moves from. It's the foundation, okay? So I want you to draw a target. If you ever seen a target maybe where you shoot the bow and arrows, the archery target, I want you to draw something like that. In the center, which is always going to be the first one, I want you to put in JAG, J-A-G, in the very center. Use the black part. The next ring is the military. The ring after that is the Ferris Doctrine, and then civilian courts, and then finally congressional leaders. Okay? In that order. Because a military person, the first person they're going to go to when they're having problems is the congressional leader. Of course, they're never going to get the congressional leader. You're going to get an entry-level government employee. That should just basically say that you're never going to get to the main person you want to see. You're never going to get to the congressional. And then there's the civilian courts. Same issues. People are going to try to go in the civilian courts and bring your case, a military case, into civilian courts. Not going to happen. They're going to take your money, let you ride it to the distance, and in the end, you're going to end up right back to where you started from. But a lot less money in your bank account. We know the civilian courts are because that's United States Supreme Courts. A lot of the cases with the Ferris Doctrine ends up there. When every case ends up in the U.S. Supreme Court, you got a military personnel who have been so wronged and they believe they're going to get justice. Okay? But it never happens. I know they're loosening up a little bit on the Ferris Doctrine stuff, but really, unless it's a high-profile situation where they can't hide from it, it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be they're going to kick it back down to military. You're not going to get anything. Okay? So this is going someplace. Then there's the Ferris Doctrine, which basically means that a military person and their family or anybody connected to it cannot sue the government for wrongdoing. It doesn't matter. It started out as medical stuff, but anything, trust me. You cannot sue. You cannot get regression. So far, as we look at here, what have I said so far that's going to compel the military to be held accountable? And if you're not being held accountable, then you pretty much can do what you want to do, right? The military also, they enjoy what they call autonomy. It means to self-govern, to do what they want to do, how they want to do it, without interference. Okay? And from the words of Patty Murray's entry-level person to me, was this: we cannot tell another government agency what to do. Once again, that's what I was saying. Don't be running to your congressperson because all you're going to do is just dig yourself deeper in problems. So the military had the autonomy. Nobody's going to tell them what to do. How much justice do you think a person is going to get? How much? Finally, there's JAG. JAG's the center. With all this protection, how much justice do you think a person is going to get? What's compelling them to do the right things? Okay, I would probably say in the very rare cases where it's so high profile that they cannot hide it, something might happen. But as your person looking to get into the military, thinking about the military as a career, is to understand that this system is in place. Which also means, by default, a person can be put into a situation where it's false information being provided to bring up on charges that's not true, and they can be prosecuted. Look at the cases. I'm not going to tell you which cases, but they're out there. Or the assistant to counsel is so bad that the service member is trying to get relief through the U.S. Supreme Court, but not finding it. Okay? And if you want to know, just put in ineffective assistant of counsel, Ferris Doctrine. Anything you want to know about the military, just put in sexual harassment, Ferris Doctrine. And chances are what you're going to get is you will get cases either at the Supreme Court level or the appellate level. So when we talk about justice for all, where do you see the justice being applied here? Where can it be? You're in the military, you're at their whim. They're the exclusive legal agency. Okay? So the truth is, the actions of the military can be seen through the elimination of cases in the Supreme Court. You also can probably hear some cases in the news media if it's high profile enough. And most of the time it's just people just trying to get their voice of their case out there so that maybe they can get help. But it's not going to come. There's no accountability. They enjoy autonomy. There's no laws. You can't sue them. The mockery of justice. The JAG is just a mockery of justice. It's just a whitewash thing. Before you start saying, oh, I am anti-military or I'm not patriotic. No, I drink the Kool-Aid. I drink gallons of it. I really believed in the military. I really believed in my government, and I really, truly believed in what the military stands for. It was only through an incident that happened to a friend of mine's that shed the light for me, to help me reflect on my military career, and what I once thought was just a local situation, I realized it was just an institutionalized situation. And I definitely forever will regret being in the military. The Ferris Doctrine protects the military and JAG. It's a closed system. You got to understand that. It's a closed system. For all you JAG people out there listening out, or probably bugged by now, or all you people who went in the military and just was great, you weren't involved in it at the level. Just like any war, there's casualties. And like everybody, yeah, there are people who got out of the military fine, but there's over 20,000 a year. That's what was told me by the military appeals board that we went through. 20,000 people a year who apply for assistant, or they try to make the records right because of the military. This was just the Army. Okay, so it's out there. The Ferris Doctrine, it just protects the military and JAG. It's a closed system. I don't see anything wrong with the military. The fact that they're trying to cover it up and present themselves as a career option is wrong. Not informing a young person who's just coming out of the high school is wrong. They're deceptive from day one. The more you hear, the more you go on my podcast, I will share it with you. It's better that the military is a compulsory 2 years. Everybody goes. Other countries do it. Then you can tell them, this is what's up. You belong to us. And nothing you can do about it. Right? But when you entice people, young men and women, to enlist in the service under false pretenses or misinformation, then you have an issue. That's wrong. That's what we're talking about here. All these organizations, counter recruitment, it's wrong. So, what's the reality? The reality is this. I'm talking about justice for all and liberty. You don't have liberty. If something was going sideways for you, a person in the military, you're being mistreated and things are not going well, you cannot leave. An officer can resign their commission. They have a way out. All they gotta do is resign their commission. But an enlisted person, you're stuck for the duration. You're stuck. You can't get out. Well, I shouldn't say that. You can get out, but the military is going to make sure that you get out on a dishonorable discharge, which is going to negatively impact your livelihood. I don't know if people knew that or not. So, reality. The lights are on here. Military contract is unilateral. Basically means that the service member is obligated, but the military is not obligated to follow the contract. And one example of that is if you're promised a job in the military and you don't fulfill that requirement to learn that job, they can reassign you. So you have no liberty. Okay? And the court case in the Supreme Court and military courts appeals shows the level of lack of justice. The reality is that government agencies cannot regulate other agencies. You can go crying to your congressional leader, who are the same people who enacted the law which prevents military people from seeking help, or how can we say that? They can make things right for the compensated for being injured. They're the ones who did it. So what do they gain by helping you? UCMJ, Uniform Military Justice, is punitive and is used as written when it benefits officers in the military, and when it benefits the enlisted brought under the charges, it won't be followed. They'll bend the rules, or they'll give you a lawyer who just basically sits on their hands and do nothing. Why? Because they work in the same office, at the JAG office. The military JAG is exclusive legal authority. There's no one to police them, hold them accountable. These are the things. These are all these things that we talked about, right? That you got to take into account. And regardless of what anybody says, even if it's a recruiter, say, no, it's fair. No, that's not the way. No, this guy don't know what he's talking about. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just do your due diligence, right? Look up, see what's going on in the news. Look at what's the court cases, right? Look at things that were going on the website. For example, look at Lieutenant Rudolph Ferris, the officer who's named as one of the three cases that makes up the Ferris Doctrine. Okay, you want the truth? He was burned up in the Berry fire. The military knew about it. The Army knew about it. They knew it wasn't safe. It burned down. He died. His widow, with a young child, was trying to get extra assistance, trying to get help, and they turned their backs on her. Let that sink in. So here we go. Everything I talk about, there's always a story behind it. The basis for what I'm talking about comes down to 1998, Washington National Guard in Washington. Lieutenant Colonel at the time was Brett Dockery, commander in 168 Aviation Battalion, Fort Lewis. Him, along with his XO, Major Palmer, these people maliciously prosecuted a soldier, okay, with the help of JAG, who did not follow the regulations, who withheld evidence, who took evidence from another person that actually caused the issue, and they placed it on this soldier. They pushed paperwork forward through here. Lieutenant Colonel Brett Dock, military judge, allowed this soldier to come before him without a military attorney, because Captain Gregory Goodell was the attorney, and he refused to represent the soldier. So now you got a soldier in front of a court-martial situation. As bizarre as it may sound, ask these guys, Google them, talk to them. That's what happened. To look at the initial paperwork, you would laugh. Right? They isolated, and it's Article 32. Even Patty Murray's office was no help. They couldn't have the power to forced him to give him an attorney. So this soldier ended up just standing there by himself and being prosecuted. No one intervened. Not the President of the United States, not the Department of Defense, not the Department of Army, not the National Guard Bureau. No one. This happens more times than you think it does. Just Google it, okay? So that's why I can stand here and say, this is what happens. This is what goes on. You don't have to do anything wrong to have charges brought up against you. You just got to have have an officer willing to put it in writing, and everyone else just follows suit. Yeah. Legowitz and Barlow's. I think Brett Doherty eventually became Brigadier General. I think he retired recently. But these people are real. Palmer Shaw, Dwight Williams. Now remember, all these lawyers are also lawyers according to the bar of Washington. Didn't find there any wrongdoing. So where's the justice in that? Where's the justice in that? This happened just like Rudolph Ferris in the Barris fire. Just like the other people who had issues with the medical. This is what you're getting into when you're enlisted in the military. What happens when a young lady is sexually assaulted by someone in her chain of command? Right? You take what I just finished saying and put it on that young lady. And it happens a lot. I think down, but it's almost like 6 or 8%. When you talk about 6 or 8% in 2023, that's 16,000 women, right? That was sexually assaulted. And I'm not saying they're all by officers, but, okay? 16,000. And that's just for 1 year. And that's just the ones who came forward. They're not going to get help from the JAG. They're going to be ostracized, isolated, and eventually going to have PTSD. So I get back to it once again. I'm going to start with what I finished with, because I'm Mr. Patriotic. I wish I'd never enlisted. Knowing what I know now, it was for nothing. Yep, and I'm also a disabled vet too, so thanks to the military. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, except for the military. Stay tuned. I'll be talking some more about the nitty-gritty of the JAG, with the history of how it works and whatnot, right? But if this is the only podcast that you listen to, and you're thinking about military, you know someone who's thinking about it, understand this part right here. It's really real. To understand what you're getting into. Yeah. It's sad, but it's the truth. And the recruiters, they're going to deny it. I bet even if you looked at Brett Doherty, he'll deny it. He'll remember it. Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Williams, he's an attorney here in Washington. I bet, you know what? They probably all forgot about this. The night the person was convicted, they were handshaking, high-fiving, and patting each other on the back. Yeah. Be forever etched in my mind. My friend asked me to be there with him. So I did. And it really has opened my eyes up to what is possible. Oh yeah. I'm going to end with this. It was only after the fact, after they signed everything, and knowing what his friend was trying to do, at that time, another officer said, you probably won't be able to do anything because of the Ferris Doctrine. I'm going to end with that. You guys take care. Just do your due diligence. And if you know someone's going to the military, tell them to do the due diligence. Tell them to check things out. Or you know somebody's in. Understand. Have a good day.